Are you ready to boost your digital forensics skills? Today we will set up Tsurugi Linux and finish with a tutorial on how to transfer malware samples to our Flare and REMnux VMs for malware analysis. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Let's begin by creating a new adapter, and we do this because, as you probably know, VirtualBox gives us 4 adapters, and in my case those adapters are already in use. So I need to create, in my case, a 6th adapter to use on my security lab. So I will show you how to create this adapter on Linux, but if you want to know how to create this adapter on Windows, you can go see my previous video that it's here above, and let's begin by creating our 6th adapter. So, as I told you in the previous video, we need a file called VBoxManage to create this new adapter. And usually you need to go to the directory where this file is, but if you followed the steps in that video, you already added the path to the variable called path on our Linux. So, if you did that, then you don't need to do anything, you just need to create the new adapter. However, if you are creating a new adapter from the scratch and you didn't see my previous video, then you need to know that the path to the file that we need in order to create this adapter is the following path: user bin VBoxManage. So this is the path to the file that we need in order to create a new adapter. Now, if you want to run the commands to create a new adapter from anywhere, then you need to add this path, the user /bin path, to the path variable. You can already have this path in the path variable, and if you want to see if you have it already, you can use the command echo path, like so. In my case, I already have the path, and if you don't have the path, you can add it like so: nano bashrc. You click enter, and at the end of the file, so in the last line of this file, you can enter this string. So this string will add the path to the path variable. Okay guys, I hope I'm making sense, but if you have any questions, please leave those in the commentary section down below. Now you can save it. I will not, because I already have this path in my path variable. So I will clean this, and if you added the string that I just showed you, you need to reload the configuration, and to do that you run the command source bashrc and you click enter, and from now on you can run the commands wherever you are. So now let's begin by creating our new interface, and the first command that we will insert is this one. I will show you. Now remember that pfSense is the name of my VM, so this VM here, where I will add a new adapter. And if you do not have pfSense, if you have another name, then you have to substitute the pfSense name with the name that you have. Okay, now here we enter 6 because that is our 6th adapter, and this will create internal network. The next command will be this one, and then you click enter. Let's enter a new command, and this will name the 6th adapter len4. Enter, and the last command will be this one. And if you go to your VirtualBox, you should have your 6th adapter, as you can see here, that is called len4. Now we have our 6th adapter, but we need to onboard this adapter and enable it. To do this, we need to power on our pfSense, so we click on it and we click start and we wait a little bit. Okay, as you can see, we have here our 5 adapters, but we don't have our 6th adapter that we just created, so we need to onboard that adapter. To do that, we need to choose from this menu the number 1. So let's do it. We click enter. Here we enter no. So as you probably know, our 1 is our VTnet 0, so we enter VTnet 0. Our LAN is our VTnet 1, like so. Our cyber range is our VTnet 2. Our AD lab is our VTnet 3. Our isolated is our VTnet IPv4. And this is our new adapter, our VTnet 5. So we just need to enter VTnet 5. We will change the name after, but now we click enter. So do you want to proceed? Yes, we want to proceed. We wait a little bit. And if you look here, you will see that we now have our 6th adapter onboarded. Now we just need to assign an IP address to this interface. To do that, we can choose number 2, set interfaces IP address, like so. We will enter the number 6 because we want to assign an IP address to our 6th interface, like so. So, configure IPv4 address OPT4 interface via DHCP. We click no. Here we will enter the new IP address to this interface. The new IP address will be 10.10.10.1 and we click enter. Now our subnet will be 24. We click enter. Here we click enter. Here we enter no, like so. Here we just click enter. Here we enter yes. The start address will be 10.10.10.11. The end address will be 10.10.10.243. We click enter. And here we enter no, like so. Now we wait a little bit. We click enter to continue. And as you can see, now our 6th adapter has a new IP address. Now we will rename this interface as we did to the other interfaces. Now to do that we just need to power on our Kali Linux. So we click on it and we click start. Let's log in. Now we are logged in, we just need to go to Firefox and go to pfSense. As you can see, we log in and we will rename our 6th interface. So we go to interfaces, we click on OPT4 and here where it says description, we will give a name. So in this case will be security. Now we save the changes and we apply those changes. Now we will apply the rules on our new interface. So we go to firewall and then rules. We click on security and now we begin by adding a new rule. This rule will block. The address family will be IPv4 plus IPv6. The protocol will be any. The source will be security subnets, this one here. And the destination will be WAN subnets, this one here. Then the description will be block access to services on one interface. Now let me just tell you very quickly that this rule, as you can see, blocks the security subnets from accessing the services on the WAN subnets. This rule applies to all protocols and covers both IPv4 plus IPv6 addresses. Now we go down and we save, but we do not apply the changes because we will add a new rule to the end, so we click on this one. This rule will block as well. The address family will be IPv4 plus IPv6, the protocol will be any, the source will be security subnets, and the destination will be LAN subnets. The description will be block access to services on LAN. This rule prevents the security subnets from accessing the LAN subnets, and it applies to all protocols covering both IPv4 plus IPv6 addresses. Essentially, this means that our security subnets cannot access or interfere with our LAN subnets, which in our case is our Kali Linux machine used for management. Now we go down and we save, but we do not apply the changes, we add a new rule to the end. Now this rule will pass. The address family will be IPv4 plus IPv6, the protocol will be any, and the source will be security subnets, and we will not change the destination, and we will add a description that will be allow traffic to all subnets and internet, like so. Now, this rule allows the security subnets access everything excluding the WAN subnets and the LAN subnets, because we made two rules blocking the access to those. The rule applies to IPv4 plus IPv6 addresses and applies to all protocols. Now we save the changes and we can apply the changes. And you should have something like this in the end. And we have everything to begin our Tsurugi Linux setup and configuration. So let's do it. So we can take this off and minimize this as well. Now, to download Tsurugi, we can go to Firefox and write Tsurugi downloads. And in this page you have 5 mirrors and you can try to download each one because they are all the same, but some can take you more time to be downloaded and others less, and you want to download the one that will take you less time. Now, in my case, the one that will take me less time to download will be mirror 3, and you can try to install the ISO file. I tried that, but I had some errors. I talked with Tsurugi and they told me that a lot of people are having these errors and they will try to fix it, but for this video I will use the OVA file. Now, if you choose to install the ISO file, you just need to have in mind the hardware requirements here and use these requirements. I already have the OVA file downloaded, also I have the ISO file, but we won't use it on this video. Now let's create a new VM. Now, because I will use a OVA file, I will import that OVA file, and if you are using the ISO file, then you click on New. So I will click on Import, then I will choose the file, so Tsurugi Linux OVA file, next. So here on the appliance settings you can see that, for instance, this OVA file requires you to have at least 4 CPUs. The RAM will be 5120, as you can see. Now here I will click generate new MAC address for all network adapters. Finish. Okay, this is a disclaimer. You click agree. And as you can see, our VM is being created. We just need to wait a little bit. Now let's move our Tsurugi VM into a new group. So we move to group, new. We will rename the group and we can call it security. Now let's move the security group into our home lab, like so. And now, before we can power on Tsurugi Linux VM, we need to power on pfSense, because pfSense will give us internet connectivity. So we go to pfSense, we start it, and we wait a little bit. Okay, now we can configure our VM, and to do that we go to Settings, we go to System, we uncheck floppy and we put hard disk at first, the optical at second, we go to Network, we choose the internal network and LAN 4 and we click OK, and now we can power on your VM. Now the default password will be Tsurugi, and it seems that we are in, guys. Okay, now the first thing that we will do is to install guest additions, and to do that we go to devices, we click on insert guest addition CD image. Now we click in this small disk, we click on mount VBox, and then we double click on this VBox disk here. We click on tools and we click on open current folder in terminal. Now, to conclude guest additions, we just need to run the following command: sudo /vbox linux additions.run. And this will conclude our guest additions installation. So we click enter, we insert the default password, in this case is Tsurugi, like so, and we wait a little bit. Okay, as you can see, our installation is concluded, so we can close the terminal, close this, and go here on the small disk and unmount VBox. And with this, with unmount VBoxGaze, we are removing the file that we used to install guest additions, as we did to our previous VMs. So we unmount with, and now you can have your full screen. You just need to click here on this square. And as you can see, our screen automatically resized. Okay, first let me just tell you that we need to make some changes in this computer. In my case, I need to change the keyboards because I'm Portuguese and I'm not used to an English keyboard. And to do that, we can go to Keyboards, Layouts, add a new layout, like so, add, and I will remove this one, remove. Okay, now we can close. Now I will change the location so I have the hours correct. To do that, we go to System, we go to Administration, Time and Date, Unlock, we insert the password, so Tsurugi, like so, and we can change this. Okay, now let's update our system, and to do that, we can go to the Terminator and use the command sudo apt update and sudo apt full upgrade, like so. Then you click enter. You can enter the default password, so Tsurugi, and we wait while our system is being updated. Now you enter yes. Now, as you can see, our system is updated. Now we can shut down our VM because we will take a snapshot of this VM. So we shut down. Now we can click on these three dots and click on snapshots. We click take and we can rename our snapshot as fresh install, like so. And we click OK. And that's it, guys. Now you can use your Tsurugi VM if you want. Now don't go anywhere because I will show you how to transfer files from our Tsurugi Linux into our Flare VM and REMnux VM that we installed in our previous video. Now, if you saw our previous video, then you know that we created two VMs for malware analysis, the Flare VM that is used on Windows and the REMnux VM that is used on Linux. Now, in that video I didn't show you how to transfer files, so malware samples, into those VMs because we will use the VM that we just created to do that job. So we will use our Tsurugi VM to transfer malware samples or other files if you want via SSH to those VMs. So let's do it. So the first thing that we will do is to power on our Tsurugi VM. Then we will do the same to our Flare VM and to our REMnux VM, like so. Also, we need to power on our Kali Linux because we will change our Tsurugi IP address to a static IP address. So we click on our Kali Linux and we start our Kali Linux. Now we go to Tsurugi. Now we log in with our default password, so Tsurugi. Now we go to our Terminator and we insert the command IPA. And as you can see, the IP address of our VM is now 10.10.28, and we will change this IP address to a static IP address. Now, to do that, we go to our Kali Linux. Now we go to Firefox and we go to our pfSense. And we will change our dynamic IP address to a static IP address. Now, to do that, we go to Status, DHCP Leases, and as you remember, our Tsurugi IP address was 10.10.10.28, and this is the one that we will change. So we will change this one here. Now we click here where it says Add Static Mapping, like so, and we can insert the IP address 10.10.10.2. Then we go down and we save the changes, and we apply the changes. Now we go to our Tsurugi Linux and we will refresh our IP address. To do that, we will use the following command: sudo ipl set then this here, like so, down, and sudo ipl, and then once again this up, and we click enter. We insert the default password. Okay, sorry, I forgot to insert set, like so, and we click enter. And now, if you run the command ipa, like so, you will see that our IP address changed to 10.10.10.2. Now, we go back to our Kali Linux. Now you can see that our Tsurugi has the IP address of 10.10.10.2. Okay, we just changed our IP address to a static IP address, and now we need to add some rules on our isolated subnet, because we need to make it possible for our Tsurugi VM to communicate with our Flare and REMnux VM, because as I told you before, we will use our Tsurugi VM to transfer files into our Flare and REMnux VM. So, to create a new rule, we go to Firewall, then Rules, we click on Isolated, we add a rule to the top, the action will be pass, the address family will be IPv4, the protocol TCP, then here where it says sources, we click on it and we click on isolated subnets. Where it says other, we will insert SSH, like so. Here we will insert address or alias, and we will insert 10.10.10.2. So this is the IP address of our Tsurugi, and we will give a description. So allow SSH access to DFIR VM. Now, what this rule will do is basically allow our isolated subnet communicate via SSH with our Tsurugi VM. Now we save and we apply the changes, and you will have something like this, as you can see. Okay, so we just created a rule that allows us to transfer files from our Tsurugi to our Flare and REMnux VM, and we will now enable SSH on our Tsurugi. Now, let's see if our SSH is running. To do that, we can use the following command: systemctl status SSH. Now, as you can see, SSH is inactive, so we need to enable SSH. Now, to do that, we can use sudo systemctl start and then SSH. Now, if you run the command above, so systemctl status SSH, you will see that now our SSH is active and ready to use. Now, I told you to power on your Flare VM and your REMnux VM, because we will do the same. We will put our SSH running on those machines, so I can show you how to transfer files in a safe way. We can minimize this and we can go to Flare, we can click Show, we log in. Now we right click on the start, we click Windows PowerShell admin, yes, and here we will insert the command get service sshd, and this command will tell us if SSH is running or is down. And as you can see here, we can see that our SSH isn't running, so we need to enable SSH. To do that, we can use the following command: start-service sshd. Now, if you run the command get service sshd, you will see that now our SSH is running. Now let's do the same on our REMnux VM. Now we can minimize this, click on REMnux, show, and here on REMnux we will see if SSH is enabled as well or not. To do that, we can use the following command: systemctl status ssh. And as you can see, SSH is inactive. So let's enable SSH, and to do that we use the following command: sudo systemctl start ssh, like so. Now if you run the previous command, so the systemctl status ssh, you will see that ssh is now active. Now, in order to transfer files from our Tsurugi Linux into our REMnux and Flare VMs, we need to know their IP addresses. IP-A, and you have it here, the IP address of our REMnux VM. Then you go to your Flare machine and you use the following command: ipconfig. And you can see that your IP, your Flare's IP, is 10.99.99.11. Now that we know the IP addresses of our Flare and our REMnux VM, we go to our Tsurugi VM and try to connect via SSH. So let's do it. We take this off, we go to Tsurugi. Now let's try to connect via SSH to our Flare VM. So to do that, we insert SSH, then the username of our Flare VM, in my case is 𝒊𝒏𝒕𝒆𝒄, so let's do it. Now we go to Flare, and the IP address is 10.99.99.11, so that's the IP address that we will use on our Tsurugi, 10.99.99.11. Then we click enter, yes, and we insert passwords. So the one that you have on Flare. And we are in, guys. So as you can see, we were able to connect via SSH to our Flare machine. Okay, now that we know that we can connect via SSH to our Flare, we can try to do the same to our REMnux VM. So the command is basically the same. SSH, then our username, in this case is REMnux, and our REMnux VM IP address, that is 10.99.99.12. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the default password for REMnux is malware. So we click enter, we insert yes, and we insert the default password, that is malware. And as you can see, we are in, guys. So if you insert the command who am I, we are REMnux. Now I will create a simple file just to make sure that we can transfer that file to our Flare VM and to our REMnux VM. Now to do that, I will open a new tab. We just need to create a simple file just to make sure that this works. Touch malware.txt. Now if you do ls, you will see that we have a file called malware.txt. Now let's insert some line in this file. So echo, this file contains malware, and we insert the name of the file where we want to insert this string. We click enter, and now if you do cat in the name of the file, malware, you'll see that this file has this content, this string that we just inserted. Now let's make sure that we can in fact transfer this file, the malware file, via SSH. Okay, we don't need to have a connection via SSH, so we can exit. This was just for us to see if we can connect, and we can exit this as well. Now let's close our connection via SSH with REMnux. So log out. Here we can insert exit. Okay, in order to transfer these files in a secure way, we will use a command called scp. That stands for secure copy. Now scp uses SSH to provide encryption, ensuring that the data that is being transferred is being protected. Now the command is scp, then we insert the file, the name of the file that we want to transfer, so malware. Then we insert the username of the target, in this case will be the Flare machine, so 𝒊𝒏𝒕𝒆𝒄 in my case, then the IP address of our VM, in my case is 10.99.99.11, and then we insert the path where we want to transfer the file. Okay, let's transfer the file to my documents directory. To do that, we insert colon forward slash and then capital C colon forward slash users forward slash 𝒊𝒏𝒕𝒆𝒂. So as you can see, I'm copying this path here. Then forward slash and I will download the file, transfer the file to my documents directory. So documents, enter, and you insert the password of your Flare's user. And as you can see, our file was transferred. Now let's see on our Flare VM if we have the file. So let's change of directories to the documents directory. Let's list the contents of this directory. And here we have our malware file. So as you can see, we successfully transferred our malware.txt file from our Tsurugi VM to our Flare machine using SCP, that is a secure way to transfer files via SSH, of course. Now let's do the same, but this time to our REMnux VM. So we can take this off. Don't close, don't shut down your Flare VM because in the end we will disable SSH. So we will transfer the same file, so the malware.txt file, but this time to the REMnux VM. The command is scp. The username of our REMnux VM is remnux and then our IP address, that is this one here, 10.99.99.12 : and we specified the path where we want to download the file, cd documents, like so. So this is the path where we want to download our files. So home, remnux, and then documents. We click enter. Okay, so guys, I forgot to specify the file. So we need to enter the name of the file that we want to transfer. In this case is malware, and we can click enter. We enter the default password of our REMnux. If you remember, the default password was malware. And as you can see, we could transfer the file once again. So let's see if we have that file on our REMnux. So ls, and here we have our file malware.txt. Now let's try to read its contents. So cat malware, and here we have. This file contains malware. Now that we know that we can transfer our files in a way that is a secure way, we can disable our SSH because we won't use it anymore. To do that, let's begin with our REMnux VM, because we have it already here. So to disable SSH on REMnux, we can use the following command: sudo systemctl stop SSH. Now let's see if in fact our SSH is disabled. To do that, we use the command that we used before. So sudo systemctl status SSH. And as you can see, our SSH is inactive. Okay guys, so we disabled SSH on our REMnux. We can close our terminal and shut down our VM because we won't need it anymore. Power off and power off. Now let's do the same, but this time with our Flare. On our Flare is very easy. So we use the following command: stop -service sshd. Then we click enter, and now we will verify if our SSH is disabled. To do that, we insert the following command: get -service sshd. And as you can see, the status is stopped. We can now close this VM because we don't need it anymore. Shut down. Okay. Now let's disable SSH on our Tsurugi VM. To do that, we just insert the same command that we did on our REMnux. So sudo systemctl stop SSH, like so. We enter the default password, that is Tsurugi, and let's now confirm if our SSH is disabled. To do that, we insert the command systemctl status SSH. And as you can see, our SSH is inactive. And that's it guys, we successfully installed Tsurugi. We could transfer a file via SSH using the scp command. we could disable SSH, and be sure to always do that. When you enable SSH, always be sure to disable SSH in the end. Now, just for you to know, the transfer of malware samples is the same. So you download your malware samples, you transfer those malware samples via SSH using the scp commands, and you will have those malware samples on your Flare VM and on your REMnux VM. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions, please leave those in the commentary section down below. Now, before you go, make sure to see this video here. See you next time, stay curious, stay safe, and happy hacking! Bye bye!